Tonight, Detroit Mayor Mary Sheffield will be giving her first State of the City address. We're going to look at what to expect and what initiatives she'll be announcing. It's also a pretty wild weather day with lightning, thunderstorms, possible tornadoes. Brian has a look at your forecast. And tomorrow, we could be sending astronauts to the moon. The Artemis II shuttle could launch as early as tomorrow night. We're going to talk live with a leader at NASA about the goals for this mission, which involves Mars.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Thank you for joining us for Local 4 Live on your Tuesday morning. I'm Nick Monticelli. The story of the day is Mother Nature and what she can and cannot do today. Brian Sherman here to talk about the forecast. It's kind of one of those things where all the ingredients are there. We just hope that nothing, the cake isn't made, so to speak.
Yeah, we hope that the cake is never made, Nick, when we talk about severe weather. Already this morning before 5 o'clock, we had a few severe thunderstorm warnings pop up just west of Washtenaw and Lenawee counties. This morning, we're talking about a forewarned weather alert. That'll kick in as we head throughout this afternoon for that strongest severe thunderstorm threat. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible as we head through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. A much quieter picture this morning on Exact Track 40 radar than what we've seen since 5 o'clock this morning. Thunderstorms moving off to the east over the lake and into Canada. So while we get a break from the thunderstorms for now, I am expecting widespread thunderstorm development into the afternoon. Tower cam over downtown Detroit. Cloud cover giving way to a little bit of sunshine. In cases like today, this is not a good thing. Sunshine helps to destabilize the atmosphere and helps to promote that thunderstorm development into the afternoon. Very warm, very muggy this morning. 64 here in Detroit, also 64 over in Ann Arbor, 64 this morning in Pontiac, and a rain-cooled 56 working into Flint. Thunderstorms early this morning, thanks to a warm front lifting north through the region. So while we're dry for the minute, that cold front brings in those widespread showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening. We're into the low 70s this afternoon with winds gusting upwards of 30 to 35 miles an hour for much of the day as well. Rain continues into Wednesday. Then we could do the whole severe weather thing again Thursday. I'll break down multiple chances for showers and thunderstorms, Nick, and your full forewarned forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
You know, I left the house this morning and walked onto the driveway, and it was a nice, beautiful morning.
Absolutely.
And I thought, oh, this is great. And then I thought, wait, this is bad.
It's bad. We don't want that. So,
all right, Brian, thank
Thanks.
you. Appreciate that. Now, this is a great time to download that free forewarned weather app to your phone. You can check the live radar and get the hour-by-hour forecast. We're also going to send you push alerts if storms are getting close to your house. The app is free to download in your app store. And also scan that QR code right there. If you have a chance to snap a picture or video of storms in your neighborhood, please send it our way. We might use, or you can use our website or the 411 weather app, and you might see it on air. But please, if you see anything, take a picture safely. All right, moving on now. The northbound lanes of the Lodge are still closed at 7 Mile for a death investigation. This happened about 6 o'clock this morning. We don't know yet why there was a body on the road on the Lodge. You can see the closure is causing a traffic jam with people getting off of M10. To get around, you're going to head north on Wyoming to 8 Mile and then back to the Lodge. Right now, we are working again to learn more and see what happened. New information and photos shedding light on the man behind the Temple Israel attack. The FBI tells us the attacker was inspired by Hezbollah and took steps to try to erase his digital footprint before the attack in West Bloomfield. Lauren Gostick was on that scene on March 12th, shortly after the attack, and she's taking us through the FBI's investigation.
The big thing to come out of the press conference was the motive. The FBI saying that the attacker was inspired by Hezbollah, saying that was made clear by his extensive search history online and also the messages he sent family and posted to Facebook.
Based on the evidence gathered to date, we assess this attack to be a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism, purposely targeting the Jewish community and the largest Jewish temple in Michigan.
More than 2 weeks after the attack on Temple Israel, the FBI is laying out the attacker's motive in extensive search history, including pro-Hezbollah searches in Jewish centers across Metro Detroit.
During the morning and early morning of March 10th, he continued his online searches with specific search terms and phrases such as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan, Orthodox synagogues, Israelis near me, What time is the Trump rally in Michigan?
The attacker then purchased an AR-style rifle, ammo, fireworks, and water tanks to fill with gasoline, and created a Facebook album titled Vengeance.
He did one final search for what time is lunch at Temple, Israel, and later deleted that query as well.
On the day of the attack, the FBI says the assailant sat in the Temple's parking lot, sending messages to his sister overseas.
Finally, and most concerning, is approximately 10 minutes before the attack, he sends his sister 2 final videos. In Arabic, he records himself saying with this screenshot, "This is the largest gathering of Israelis in the state of Michigan, in the United States. I have booby-trapped the car. I will forcibly enter and start shooting them. God willing, I will kill as many of them as I possibly can."
The U.S. District Attorney says there's enough evidence for this motive.
But there is no question that we would prove that this man provided material support to the terrorist organization Hezbollah.
And previously, the Israeli military said that the attacker's brother, who was killed in an airstrike in Lebanon, was a commander with Hezbollah. But the FBI said they have not been able to confirm that themselves. Reporting in Detroit, Lauren Kostick, Local 4.
All right, Lauren, thank you much. A live look in Beirut right now as we head to the Middle East. Both sides in the Iran war are hitting oil and gas targets. So now at home, the price of gas is topping $4 a gallon on average, the highest since 2022. President Trump is now threatening Iran's energy and water infrastructure unless Iran agrees to demands. Alice Barr is in Washington to break down the escalating threats, continuing attacks, and negotiations towards a deal to end the conflict.
Good morning. A new example overnight of the kinds of attacks driving energy prices up as a Kuwaiti tanker laden with oil was hit by a drone in a port in Dubai. Iran has been seeking to spread the pain of the war throughout the global economy. New images from the war with Iran, with the U.S. military central command posting video of strikes on Iranian vehicles and aircraft, not saying when or where they happened, but noting they're targeting the regime's ability to project power beyond its borders. That is, these new photos show a U.S. Air Force radar plane heavily damaged in an Iranian strike on an airbase in Saudi Arabia Friday. Several American service members were injured, according to 2 U.S. officials. The White House ramping up the pressure on Iran.
Their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination.
That includes a threat from President Trump to target civilian infrastructure by obliterating Iran's power plants and oil wells and possibly water desalination plants if Tehran does not agree to demands by next week, including abandoning its nuclear ambitions and reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
They are making threats about controlling the Hormuz Straits in perpetuity, creating a tolling system and the like. That's not going to be allowed to happen.
President Trump also telling the Financial Times he would like to take Iranian oil and may seize the nation's biggest export hub, Karg Island. And even as 3,500 additional U.S. troops arrived in the Middle East, President Trump insists great progress has been made toward a deal, revealing one of the Iranian officials he says the U.S. has been indirectly communicating with is the country's hardline parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf.
These folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations.
Conversations Iran denies are happening. Despite the buildup of U.S. troops in the Middle East, the White House says President Trump has not made any decisions about putting boots on the ground in Iran, a move lawmakers in both parties have made clear they would want to weigh in on. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And while the national average for gas just topped $4, here in Michigan, prices have gone down. The average price for a gallon of regular in Michigan is $3.92. That is 2 cents lower than yesterday and 9 cents lower than last week. When you break it down by county, it's a little bit different. Macomb and Wayne counties will be your lower option at $3.87 a gallon. Oakland County is going to cost you some more. Gas prices there are about 10 cents higher at $3.97. Taking a live look at the Houston airport now, where travelers are starting to see shorter TSA lines now that most agents got some of their pay on Monday. Houston reports waits dropping from 4 hours to 10 minutes or less. Union leaders say workers are not fully caught up on back pay, but more is expected next week. Staffing remains tight after 500 and more agents quit. ICE will keep helping at major airports while DHS remains shut down. Right now, there are no plans for the Senate to return from recess early to negotiate. And let's check Detroit Metro Airport. DTW really wasn't affected by the TSA staff shortage and the partial shutdown. The longest we ever saw were lines for about 15 minutes at both terminals. Right now, it's 7 minutes at the Evans terminal and 6 minutes at McNamara. A spot on Detroit's west side has become a space for dumping and other suspicious activity. Coming up next, what the city is doing to hold people accountable. Welcome back. Today is the deadline for Wayne County homeowners to get help with their property taxes, or you could lose your home. The Wayne County Treasurer's Office is offering 3 plans to eligible households. Each is designed to help owners catch up on delinquent taxes to avoid foreclosure. Just scan the QR code there on your screen to apply. You can also call them at 313-224-5990. Over on Detroit's west side, there is an abandoned apartment complex that has become a hotspot for dumping and other suspicious activity. It was some video about the mess that residents post on Instagram that caught our attention. Here is where we're talking about. It's on Greenfield, just north of 6 Mile Road. The city is getting involved and working to hold the property owner accountable. Here's Damon Fernandez.
Some neighbors call it a growing nuisance along Greenfield near 6 Mile.
This is an eyesore. Nobody wants to see this.
Trash and lots of it piling around 16831 Greenfield. All right, you guys, take a look at all this mess piling up in an alley outside of a vacant apartment building on Detroit's west side. It's one of the issues that some neighbors have been complaining about for a while. And take a look in front of the building, trash everywhere out here. It doesn't get much better. This abandoned apartment building, neighbors say, has seen its fair share of squatters, dumping, and other shady activity. How frustrating does this get, seeing this?
Very frustrating, because we're the city of Detroit, it's like they don't care. If this was Farmington, Bloomfield Hills, you wouldn't see none of this.
No, this ain't a third world country. This is a fourth.
It's this video Charles Miles and Michael Evans posted on social media over the weekend about the conditions that's now going viral.
And I was like, this is very unacceptable. Then we went through the alley. I was like, oh my God. And people keep thinking that the citizens is responsible. But listen, the city is collecting tax money, revenue, garbage. We got to clean this up.
The City of Detroit Corporation Counsel Conrad Mallett Jr. says this situation has been on the radar for months.
Landlords who own those buildings that have long been abandoned simply do not do what it takes to make sure that those buildings are in fact compliant with the ordinance.
Mallett says Council President James Tate and Councilmember Angela Whitfield Callaway most recently discussed this property during budget hearings last week.
This is a combination of neglect and the necessity, as the mayor has indicated, for more affordable housing, number one. Number two, We've got to do a better job of being sure that the boarding up that we do is more permanent than currently in place with just a plywood.
Based on tickets from city inspectors, the law department says it plans to bring a show cause lawsuit against the property owner, and the city will continue ticketing anyone caught dumping here. What would you like to see done?
I want this cleaned up.
Damon Fernandez, Local 4.
Now, the cleanup plan for that property is already in the works. We're told staff from several city departments will be on site later today. Also, there will be staff talking to and working with those who may be using that abandoned building for shelter. Well, cleanup efforts along with housing, education, and affordability will be key points Mayor Mary Sheffield will make at her first State of the City address. It's been 89 days since Mayor Sheffield took office. Now she is ready to share her vision with the city to move forward. In recent weeks, we have seen the mayor meeting with community stakeholders, and people say they are interested in seeing how those conversations shape her policy agenda.
Well, first of all, I think she's going to really present her vision for the city. You know, when you're campaigning, you are trying to negotiate between some of the successes that the city has already seen, as well as negotiating and talking about the things you want to do yourself. Now she's been in office 3 months and she started to build her staff. She started to talk to a ton of residents. So I think what she's going to be announcing is really what her vision is moving forward and what she sees and has heard from residents of the city of Detroit. I'm excited that she's so focused on the neighborhoods because despite, you know, our previous mayor saying that the neighborhoods were good and that he had done a lot there, not that I'm negating that, but the fact of the matter is that neighborhoods didn't necessarily feel that way. There were a lot of neighborhoods that didn't necessarily feel that the growth of the city had reached them.
You can watch the State of the City tonight right here on Local 4, streaming on Local 4 Plus or on clickondetroit.com. That starts at 7, and then stick with us for a post show on Local 4 Plus after the mayor speaks. Now, this is the first round of showers that could shake the metro with thunder and strong winds. We're going to track when these storms could ramp back up later on today, coming up. Welcome back, everybody. If you can, take a look at your screens right now. This is video over the Rensen this morning. You can see lightning just lighting up that downtown sky. A strong storm rolled through our area at about 6:30 this morning. And believe it or not, this is just the beginning of what we can expect later today. So for all that bad news, here's Brian.
Thanks, Nick.
No
I appreciate that. The bearer of bad news,
Yes.
although this morning it was really interesting about 5:30, 6 o'clock, seeing that strong thunderstorm roll into downtown. It was actually warned moving out of Ingham County toward Washtenaw and Livingston counties earlier this morning for winds of 60 miles an hour and hail to an inch in diameter. So we are not done with the severe weather just yet. With that in mind, we have declared a forewarned weather alert for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms expected this afternoon and into this evening. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible as we go through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. A much more tranquil picture this morning on Exact Track 40 radar. Everybody getting a break from the thunderstorm activity for the moment, but we won't stay like this, especially as we head into the afternoon. Tower cam over downtown Detroit. We're getting some breaks in the clouds for some morning sunshine as you're waking up. That's not a good thing given the risk for severe weather today. Sunshine helps to destabilize the atmosphere, so we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that for the rest of the day today. Very warm and very muggy this morning, starting off at 64 here in Detroit, also 64 over in Ann Arbor, 64 this morning in Pontiac, and a rain-cooled 56 as you're waking up in Flint. The storms, gusty winds to go with them already outside of the thunderstorms this morning. Winds gusting in excess of 25 to 35 miles an hour as you're heading out the door. So if the trash cans are out, keep an eye on them. They may be blowing around as you head throughout the day today as well. Storms last night thanks to a warm front lifting through the region. But that cold front back to the west is what's going to trigger the thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening that will be possibly strong to severe. The Storm Prediction Center is outlining the Great Lakes through the Ohio Valley into the northeast in yellow under a slight risk, 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale, and that encompasses all of southeastern Michigan. Damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour will be the primary threat, although large hail and heavy rainfall will be possible. And while the tornado threat is low, it's not zero, so we're going to watch for an isolated tornado possible this afternoon and into this evening. Here's the latest version of clouds and radar forecast. Just a few showers as we go throughout the rest of the morning into early this afternoon. Then after 3 to 4 o'clock, we watch storms start to develop, and I'm expecting a line of thunderstorms to roll in between 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. This is 9:30, 9:45 this evening. Strong to severe thunderstorms possible. Then as the cold front pulls through, we could see what's called training of showers and thunderstorms, which means those storms roll over the same area again and again. So that could promote the possibility of flash flooding overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. And then the rain showers stick around on and off throughout the day on Wednesday, all the way into late Wednesday night before more thunderstorms roll in by Thursday. And we could do the whole severe weather thing again on Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center outlining areas from Howell up to Flint and down into Washtenaw County in yellow under another slight risk, 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. So once we get through today's storms, we'll start taking a look at Thursday much more closely. We'll head for 72 today with our forewarned weather alert heading into the afternoon. Strong to severe thunderstorms. Then we're into the 40s tomorrow, and then we rebound quickly into the 60s on Thursday. 70 for Friday for the Tigers home opener. That's going to be interesting, Nick.
It says
back
chance.
To 70.
Chance of rain.
Don't think it's going to be a washout, but I can't take the rain out of the forecast. But then it goes into Easter weekend as well, where we're back into the 50s by the time we get to Easter Sunday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir. All right, we are heading to the moon and back. A live look right now at the Artemis II rocket as it gets ready for an out-of-this-world mission, which we haven't done in more than 50 years. We're looking at the history of our journey to the moon and beyond when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli with a Local 4 News update happening tonight. Mayor Mary Sheffield will deliver her first State of the City address to Detroit. We can expect to hear about property values, rising taxes, along with education and affordability costs. The mayor campaigned on reducing costs for Detroit homeowners. You can see her speech tonight live right here on Local 4, Local 4 Plus, and click on Detroit.com. And stay with us for a post show on Local 4 Plus right after the mayor speaks. Also, another 90 minutes of Local 4 Live coming your way. Astronauts could be heading back to the moon as soon as tomorrow. We're going to talk live with NASA about the Artemis II mission. Plus, AI is a hot topic right now. We're getting a better idea of how Detroiters feel about the tech that's being used to run city services. And doorbell cameras may not be saving what you think it is. Consumer Reports says storage and subscriptions matter much more than you think. And Brian has a forecast with some potential severe weather later on today.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. We're going to start this half hour with the check of your forecast. We saw a round of storms earlier this morning. We are expecting some more later on today. 4-1 meteorologist Brian Sherman over at the green screen with a look at some storms and that 4-1 weather alert, B.
Yeah, that's going to take into effect, Nick, as we head into the afternoon. After most of us, a little bit of a loud wake up between 4 and 6 to 6:30 this morning. We're dry for the minute, but our 4-1 weather alert still in effect for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms are expected with damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado possible, especially late this afternoon and into this evening. Exact Track 40 radar, dry for the moment across all of southeastern Michigan. A few showers showing up to the west of Alma and northwest of Lansing. I think save an isolated shower or two this morning. We watch for that thunderstorm redevelopment heading into the afternoon. Tower cam over downtown Detroit. We're getting a little sunshine between some of the cloud cover, which is not going to help our cause where the chances for severe thunderstorms are concerned, because that sunshine will help destabilize the atmosphere to promote that thunderstorm development by the time we get to this afternoon. Sitting at 64 here in Detroit, also over in Ann Arbor, 64 in Pontiac, and a rain-cooled 56 this morning, starting off in Flint. The few storms this morning, thanks to that warm front lifting off to the north. But we've got a strong cold front back to the west. That's what's going to trigger the severe weather threat heading through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. So we're into the mid-60s by 10 o'clock this morning. We warm into the low 70s this afternoon with those thunderstorms sticking around through late tonight. Winds gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour heading throughout much of the day as well. Rain continues tomorrow before we could do another round of severe thunderstorms by Thursday. I'll break down a very busy forewarned forecast and time out the severe weather for this afternoon. Details in your full forewarned forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Brian, thank you, sir. Taking a live look right now at the Artemis II rocket over at Cape Canaveral, Florida right now. It has been more than 50 years since a human has traveled beyond Earth's orbit, and that will change very soon. But before we talk about where we are going, let's talk about how we got here. We're heading back in time to 1962 when gas was 30 cents a gallon and a trip to the movies would cost you $1.50. Plus, Motown was ruling the top 50 on the Billboard charts, and President John F. Kennedy was doubling down on a statement he made in 1961 about getting to the moon.
Choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Now, at the time, the total time an American had spent in space was barely 15 minutes. What came next was a long road to the moon, starting with the death of Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, who were killed in a fire during a launch pad test. 1 year later, Apollo 7 spent 10 days in space. With Apollo 8, we saw the first humans fly around the moon. And then, on July 20th, 1969, we heard these words.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Between 1969 and 1972, 5 more missions reached and explored the moon. 12 astronauts touched the surface, but then, after Apollo 17, the project went dark, until now. As early as tomorrow, 4 astronauts will begin a 10-day, 685,000-mile journey to the moon and back. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen with the Canadian Space Agency will be on board the Artemis II. The goal of this mission is to establish a base on the moon and use it as a stepping stone to Mars.
Are we alone? When we go out and meet people, people ask that all the time. Have you seen evidence of this? What can we learn? And the fact is that answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most likelihood of finding evidence of past life. But it's also a Rosetta Stone for how other solar systems form. All the billions of other solar systems in our galaxy, where we've seen from some of our other telescopes like Kepler that there are planets orbiting other suns. All of this starts to unlock when you go to the moon.
All right, joining us right now to talk about what this mission means and what comes next is Kevin Coggins, the Deputy Associate Administrator for Space Communications and Navigation at NASA. That sounds very important, Kevin.
Hey, it's an awesome job. You know, you played that segment where it talked about one small step for man. That voice audio came down through our space communication antennas so that the world could hear it.
Unbelievable. Okay, so can you kind of walk us through the goal of this mission? What are we trying to accomplish and why now?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, this is the first time we've flown humans in Orion to the moon. And so one of the first things we have to test on here is the life support system, that we can sustain human life really well on these long journeys. And so that's just one of many things we're going to test in this whole architecture that's going to build into the next time we go. And the next mission next year, we're going to test docking to landing vehicles, and we're going to do that one around the Earth. But in 2028, we're going to take those landing vehicles and Orion to the moon, and we're going to do 2 landing attempts.
So put in very basic layman terms, because none of us are rocket scientists, my understanding is that you're hoping to put some equipment on the surface of the moon that can become a stepping stone to Mars.
Absolutely. we have this program where we send landers to the moon. Well, we're going to accelerate that program, and over the next year or two, you're going to see us get to a pace of sending rockets about once a month with equipment for the moon and for the moon base. And that way, when we do send astronauts to the moon, they have somewhere to go.
Unbelievable. Okay, so Kevin, what is happening in the next 24 to 48 hours to see if you're actually a go for launch?
Well, right now we're in the countdown, and that means we are continually going through different checks and tests on the rocket. The astronauts are in quarantine. They're going through their procedures eventually to suit up and move out to the pad. We've got communication systems around the world that are going through their readiness checks to make sure everything's absolutely ready. But one of the main things we're watching is the weather. So far, the weather's looking pretty good.
In terms of weather, what would stop you? Is it rain? Is it fog? Is it all of the above?
Well, we're down here on the coast of Florida, and right at the edge of the coast, there's the water, and there's a lot of moisture in the air. If we get really, really thick clouds that cause too much obscuration, or worried about weather or lightning over the launch area and in the launch zone, those are reasons we might wave off until that weather clears out a little bit.
Now, I know you're scientists and you do a lot of time crunching numbers and looking at data, but there's got to be some kind of sense of anticipation and excitement for such a historic moment.
There is electricity in the air here. It is so exciting. We've got people around the world that are working various systems or have worked on these systems that are in this rocket. And some of them have converged down here just so we could watch this historic moment. We are very excited.
And as far as the astronauts go, they're in quarantine, but do you still have communications with them? Can you talk to them? Can you see how excited they are?
Oh, absolutely. They're pumped and ready. They have been training so hard for this mission, and their families are supporting them in the most amazing ways. They are ready to go.
Yeah. All right, Kevin Coddins with NASA. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck. We hope that all goes well and we get to see you blast off tomorrow.
Hey, thank you so much. Go Artemis.
Thank you, sir. All right, getting a weekly dose of joy. Next, how music therapy is helping a 3-year-old boy and his family as he goes through chemo. Plus, Brian joins us after the break for a check of your forecast, as we are expecting severe weather, but we're also looking ahead to that all-important, very big day, opening day for the Detroit Tigers on Friday. Welcome back, everybody. March is Child Life Month, a time dedicated to celebrating the professionals who make life a little easier for kids stuck in a hospital. Pamela Osborne visited Cornwall Health in Royal Oak and shows us the impact music therapy has had on a little boy named Carson.
Once a week, Carson's here getting his port changed for his chemotherapy. He's not a huge fan of that part, but this part he loves.
I dare not.
Meet Carson and his buddy, Brandon. These past 9 months have been difficult on the Jamos.
He was diagnosed with leukemia in June of last year, so it's been a lot.
What's made things easier is the time Carson spends with his music therapist, Brandon Baynas.
Through working with him, I've seen him grow so much in his ability to speak up for himself and just speak to people in general. What about purple?
Big brother Connor gets to play along too.
Because the big brother of a child going through cancer, it can be overwhelming, or you can feel like, you're kind of forgotten about.
Mom Casey is grateful for all of the support the entire family has received. Turns out, it goes both ways.
Carson has brought me so much joy and helped me rediscover my love of what I do every day too. Just seeing the impact him and his family have had on me makes me feel like I've made an impact on them.
Carson, who's 3, should be finished with chemo by September at the latest. One of the first things Casey hopes to do is get her boys back to Comerica Park.
Carson's first game was last summer, which was the strikeout cancer game, but we didn't know he was going to be diagnosed at that point, so a very full circle moment, and maybe we'll get back to that game this year.
In Royal Oak, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Oh, what a cute little kid.
Absolutely.
Music can solve so many things.
I 100% agree with that. Now, could it solve the severe weather threat today?
I was going to say, anything that we can do to get rid of the storms in the sky.
Yes, unfortunately, we've got a very good chance we're going to see some widespread strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon, Nick. With that in mind, our forewarned weather alert is in effect for today due to that threat for strong to severe thunderstorms. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible as we go through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. Exact Track 40 radar, a much quieter picture than what we had around 5 to 6 o'clock this morning, with some strong to briefly severe thunderstorms rolling through, but I expect those to overspread the region as we go through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. Breaking out into some sunshine on Tower Cam over downtown Detroit, sitting at a very warm 64 degrees this morning here in downtown Detroit, 64 over in Ann Arbor, also 64 in Pontiac, and a rain-cooled 56 this morning as you're starting off up in Flint. Winds also an issue this morning, gusting already in excess of 25 to 35 miles an hour in some locations, and we will keep those gusty winds around outside of the thunderstorms as we head throughout the day. Warm front lifting to the north this morning, giving us those early morning thunderstorms, but that strong cold front moving through Missouri into Wisconsin and Illinois, that's going to trigger the threat of severe thunderstorms from the Great Lakes down into the Ohio Valley and the northeastern United States as we head into this afternoon, and that includes all of southeastern Michigan under a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. Damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour will be the primary threat today. Large hail and heavy rainfall can't be ruled out. And while the tornado threat is low, it's not zero, so an isolated tornado is possible as we head throughout our Tuesday as well. Clouds and radar forecast keeps an isolated shower or two in for the rest of the morning into early this afternoon. Then after 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon, we start watching the thunderstorms redevelop, and we'll look for a line of thunderstorms to roll in around 8 to 9 o'clock tonight. This is 9:30 tonight. Showers and thunderstorms over the region, and as that front moves off to the east, we'll keep some rain in overnight. Training, which means moving over the same area again and again, which means we may have a flash flooding concern overnight tonight into early on Wednesday morning, and then scattered showers stick around on and off throughout the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night. Then we get more thunderstorms rolling in as we head into Thursday, and we could do the whole severe weather thing again by Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center has put areas west of Metro Detroit in yellow under another slight risk 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale, with the rest of the region under a marginal risk 1 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. Once we get through with the severe severe weather today, we'll start locking on to what we may see as we head into Thursday. 60s out the door this morning, upper 60s to near 70 by lunchtime. We head into low 70s this afternoon with strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening. And looking at the Easter weekend, that forecast for Friday has rapidly changed, heading for 70 degrees now on Friday, but keeping the chance of rain showers in for the Tigers home opener before the rain showers stick around both Saturday and Easter Sunday, and we cool things down into the 50s from Sunday into early next week and finally dry things out by the time we get to next Monday. Nick, today's one of the days where you want to download that Forewarn weather app, have it handy. You're going to get the alerts from it. We're all hands on deck today as it could get very interesting very fast this afternoon.
So this is not a selfish question at all.
Okay.
But what do you think the temperatures might be on Friday between, say, 5 to 10 a.m.?
I want to say probably 50s, maybe lower 60s.
Okay.
We're not going to be that chilly
So it's
because
not
we're going to
cold.
warm up fast.
Right.
No, but you're going to need the jacket or the umbrella, though, if you're going out to Comerica Park.
No.
I know, not the answer you wanted.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you, buddy. Well, did you ever wonder about the history of all the iconic buildings around downtown Detroit? Coming up next, a conversation with a local historian and his job to keep the city, the history of the city's architecture going. Well, it's safe to say we have some truly amazing and historic buildings across downtown Detroit, from the Fisher to the Guardian and the Penobscot. They remind us of where Detroit has been and where we're going. And there is one man who has been documenting it all. He talked to Jason Colthorpe on Sunday's Flashpoint.
Welcome back. If you've ever gone searching online for more information about Detroit's most iconic buildings, you may have stumbled upon Dan Austin's passion project, Historic Detroit. Dan's with us this morning, and your former colleague at the Detroit Free Press, Neil Rubin, did a really nice profile about your newest effort in the face of your health crisis. But start by, in case people don't know what Historic Detroit is, walk us through that and how that came about.
Sure. So Historic Detroit is a free online resource where we tell the stories behind the bricks of more than 1,000 buildings, passenger steamers, monuments in the city of Detroit. I used to be a journalist, so
I was gonna say, that's right up your alley.
A real push on storytelling, but also in getting the facts straight. So that started 15 years ago, and I've actually been doing it for 20. Started when I was at the Free Press, buildingsofdetroit.com, with a former colleague, and so I've just been at it for a long time. And then once the cancer diagnosis came down in August of 2024, it might not have been the first thing out of a lot of people's mouths, but a lot of people said, so what's going to happen to the website when you're not around to pay the hosting costs? It's like, okay, well, gee, maybe we should look at trying to save this. And I started talking with folks, and it became clear that we could raise more than enough money to keep the website going, and that we could do something more for the city than just run a website about old buildings. And so we also started raising funds for the future, scholarships for Detroit youth, and those scholarships are, again, for Detroit residents. And the one caveat is that they have to be committed to giving back to the city and making it a better place in some way or another, whether that is through being a teacher, architect, urban planner, CDO, I mean, whatever they want to do, but that's the goal, because the city has come a long way in the last 15 years. You've been here, I don't need to tell you, but we still have a long way to go. And there's still a lot of Detroit youth out there that has big dreams, big talent, but not necessarily the financial means to get there.
I'm glad we're able to discuss it in March before this month escapes us being Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month.
That was not a coincidence.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to keep it on the radar. When this diagnosis came your way, what was the reaction and how did you take those next steps?
Well, there's kind of a sad but a little bit longer story there, but just to try to drive home the importance of people getting tested, especially younger folks. I had a really good friend named Graham Davis.
I know Graham.
Yeah,
Knew Graham,
he was one of the best humans I've ever met, and also a survivor of Milford, Michigan, like myself. But anyway, Graham was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at 33.
Yeah, that was a shock.
And they tell you 45 is when you get tested. And so I was 40, and I went in to ask the doctor, hey, can I get one of these? My friend got, just passed away from it. And they said, oh, well, you can pay out of pocket for it because you're not 45. And you don't have a history of colon cancer in your family. So I didn't. I was working for the Bear at the time.
It's tough. You don't envision that, and you're younger.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just do a search for colorectal cancer in younger people, you'll find more and more folks are getting diagnosed in their 30s, even in their 20s.
Yes.
And I don't know whether that's microplastics or preservatives or whatever. I'm not an oncologist.
Right. But it's changing the way HMOs and things do this now. Now you don't have to be 45.
Yeah, you can do it at 40. And it's certainly if you have any warnings. Unfortunately for me, I also have multiple sclerosis, won the health malady lottery. So I was attributing my early symptoms to my MS, and that's why I didn't catch it till it was a little too late. But if you're a little bit squeamish about anesthesia or having a colonoscopy, people can do Cologuard.
Yeah.
There is no excuse.
At the very least, you should.
At the very least. There's no excuse for not getting tested, because let me tell you, do it a Cologuard or prep for a colonoscopy beats the heck out of dying of cancer and having to do chemo and radiation. So.
Well, I'm glad it hasn't hurt your sense of humor.
You know what? I've had a year and a half now to get through those stages of grief, and now I'm doing a little bit of gallows humor. I like to joke that nothing stops Detroit, nothing stops Detroiters except for cancer eventually. But in all seriousness, this is a really important thing, and I really do hope that the viewers at home will take it seriously if they haven't already gotten tested. I've had some friends who got tested after my diagnosis, and caught it early, thank goodness.
Yeah, one of the stories you shared with me. Before I let you go, where can people go to make sure Historic Detroit sticks around and as it should?
And then scholarships for Detroit youth too. They can go to austinfund.org. They can make a tax-deductible donation there, and that money will go into an endowment fund where your money will be invested, and then your dollar goes even further as the stock market hopefully rises.
Austinfund.org.
Awesome. Austinfund.org. Thanks so much,
Pleasure
Jason.
to talk to you. You're welcome.
Always great.
And you can watch the entire episode of Flashpoint over on clickondetroit.com and here on Local 4 Plus. Another hour of Local 4 Live coming your way. AI is a hot topic right now. We're getting a better idea of how Detroiters feel about tech being used in Detroit city services. Plus, doorbell cameras may not be saving what you think. Consumer Report says storage and subscriptions matter more than you think, and why an ominous shade of red in the sky had one community preparing for the worst. More news and more weather, more Local 4 Live coming up next. Another hour of Local 4 Live coming your way here on Local 4 Plus. Our top story is the weather, the possibility of severe storms starting this afternoon. Our forewarned meteorologists are going to map out the threats, and they are not ruling out the possibility of a tornado. Plus, how would you feel if your city started using AI to solve crimes or help with neighborhood upkeep? Surprising results from a new survey out of Detroit. And then overnight gas prices hit a new record across the U.S. Experts say we're about to feel the effects of that in other places.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. A live look outside at Southfield and 696. We did see some lightning and rain in parts of our area earlier this morning. The more serious weather, though, could be coming this afternoon. Forewarned meteorologist Brian Sherman here with kind of a layout of what we're looking at. And really, it's kind of the late afternoon to the evening that's going to be the most threatening, right?
Yeah, that's when we're going to watch the cold front move through, Nick. This morning was a little bit of a preview. Strong thunderstorms over parts of Metro Detroit. We saw lightning on Tower Cam early this morning as we were talking to Shante Passmore. With that in mind, our forewarned weather alert is up for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible mid to late this afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. Exact Track 40 radar, a much quieter picture than what we had between 5 to 7 o'clock this morning with those strong to briefly severe thunderstorms. But that radar is going to be very busy as we head into this afternoon. Tower Cam over downtown Detroit toward Belle Isle. We're breaking into a little bit of sunshine, which is not going to help our cause for severe weather. Sunshine allows the atmosphere to destabilize and would promote that severe thunderstorm potential this afternoon. Very warm and very muggy to start. Mid-60s from Detroit over to Ann Arbor, as well as over to Pontiac and up in Flint. And we're heading into the 70s this afternoon. That warm front earlier this morning triggering those early morning storms, but that cold front to the west is what's going to give us that severe potential this afternoon. So temperatures out of the 60s this morning into low 70s this afternoon. After 3 o'clock this afternoon, that's when we start watching for the severe threat. And then the rain continues for Wednesday before we could do the severe weather potential again heading into Thursday. I'll break down what you can expect in your complete 4-1 forecast coming up in just a few minutes. So at least we're quiet for now, but this afternoon could be very interesting.
Yeah, if you have errands to run, do it between now and like 2 o'clock or so,
right? 2 to 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
After 3, we start watching the radar.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And of course, now is a great time to have that forewarned weather app on your phone. We're going to send you push alerts when the weather is approaching your area, and you can check live radar at any time. That is free to download in your app store. And if you have a chance to snap a picture or video of storms in your neighborhood, send it our way. You can submit the photo on our website or the forewarned weather app, and you might see it on air. Just please do it safely. The northbound lanes of the Lodge are still closed at 7 Mile for a death investigation. This happened about 6 o'clock this morning. No word on what happened and how a body ended up on the Lodge. You can see the closure is causing a traffic jam with people getting off the Lodge to get around, head north on Wyoming to 8 Mile and then back to the Lodge. Right now, we are still trying to figure out exactly what happened and when they are going to reopen the road. Tonight, Detroit Mayor Mary Sheffield will deliver her first State of the City address. We're expecting her to talk about priorities when it comes to the city, including her plans for the neighborhoods and more. Shante Passmore has a preview of what we'll hear tonight.
Even if you don't live in the city of Detroit, many people will be interested in what she has to say because we understand that the economic growth of the city has ripple effects throughout the metro. And we are told that her address will touch on the youth and education. What we are expecting to hear later today, an announcement with educational partners about how to tackle student absenteeism, plus help connect students to after-school opportunities. The mayor is also expected to touch on a new approach to neighborhood investments that allows all neighborhoods to benefit, not just the hot spots in the downtown and midtown areas. While the city is seeing explosive growth in those areas with new developments, many longtime Detroiters feel like their neighborhoods are not seeing those same improvements.
I'm excited that she's so focused on the neighborhoods because despite, our previous mayor saying that the neighborhoods were good and that he had done a lot there, not that I'm negating that, but the fact of the matter is that neighborhoods didn't necessarily feel that way. There were a lot of neighborhoods that didn't necessarily feel that the growth of the city had reached them.
In fact, just the other day, she announced that more streetlights would be going up in dark neighborhoods. As for the State of the City address, that gets underway at 7 p.m. at Samuel C. Mumford High School. We're in Detroit. Shante Passmore, Local 4.
And you can watch that State of the City address live tonight at 7 o'clock on Local 4 and streaming on Local 4 Plus. Make sure you stick around for our post show after the mayor speaks. We're going to be joined by special guests to break down all of those big priorities. We're also learning new details about the moments before the attack at Temple, Israel. The FBI is calling this a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism and says the attacker planned this for months. Photos show him at a gun range days before the incident and loading his truck with fireworks and gas. Investigators found online activity linked to pro-Hezbollah outlets and extremist views. He also searched for Jewish places of worship and large events in the area. They say the suspect wanted to cause as much damage as he could.
During the morning and early morning of March 10th, he continued his online searches with specific search terms and phrases such as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan, Orthodox synagogues, Israelis near me, what time is the Trump rally in Michigan, as well as a center affiliated with the Israeli embassy in Michigan. He later attempted to try and delete these queries, but we were able to recover them.
The attacker's ex-wife reported to police that he called her minutes before, saying he wanted to kill everyone inside. Federal officials do not believe anyone was involved in planning out or carrying that attack. Anyone else, we should say. A man has been charged in a triple murder in southwest Detroit. Lance Clowney is accused of attacking 3 men with a hammer and knife on Edsel Street last month. Their bodies were discovered in the basement. Clowney is also charged with the assault of a 4th man at the house who survived. The body of a missing man from Wyandotte turns up in the Detroit River. Ecorse police believe it is 25-year-old Tyler Bojanowski, who has been missing since February 5th. The Wayne County Medical Examiner still needs to make a positive identification, but police say the physical description and clothing matches. His family has been notified. We are working to learn more about teens fighting around campus marshes last night. You're looking at video of police on the scene and some of the crowds. Police couldn't share much information since this involves minors, but did confirm several arrests were made. Well, AI is becoming a part of everyday life. Up next, we're getting a better idea of how Detroiters feel about the use of artificial intelligence to help with everything from identifying crime suspects to helping in the neighborhoods. That's next, coming up on Local 4 Live. Artificial intelligence is such a hot topic right now. We're getting a better idea how Detroiters feel about it being used to help run city services. The findings come from a survey of 2,100 people done by the Detroit Metro Area Community Study at the University of Michigan. Researchers found support varied depending on how AI was being used. It was highest when it came to identifying missing children. 57% of people said they approved. Only 38% of people were okay with it being used to monitor neighborhood cleanup. The same goes for identifying crime suspects. And just 34% wanted it used to navigate government resources, and only 30% approved of it using it to manage the water systems. Joining us now to talk about the findings of this survey are Hanouk Ha, a U of M research fellow at the Institute for Social Research. Hanouk, thank you for joining us this morning. What are just some of your key top-line takeaways from the study and what you learned?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. So I think the first takeaway for this survey is, the Detroit people, they're open to AI, but it really depends on how the technology is used. So purpose really matters, how people interpret what AI is being used for. So people still, but we live in a very early stage. I say, AIization, so where AI is reshaping the society. So people still, haven't fully formed their opinion yet.
Is this because there is fear of AI or fear of, let's say, false positives when it comes to identifying a crime suspect, or false positives in finding a missing child, or they kind of link together?
So I think it probably kind of linked together. So I think that's a really interesting point, especially when you compare two similar but different kind of the cases, like comparing identifying crime suspects or finding missing children. I think the baseline technology and method is very similar, analyzing footage and matching it with the existing data set. But the approval and the support is very different. So I think people think the purpose and motivation is matters, and also they are not sure what kind of safeguard and ethical guidelines are prepared by the city.
Right. So just to be clear, the survey was looking at the possibility of AI use in city services. We're not saying that it's happened or will happen, but this was more to get a snapshot of how people would feel if it were to happen, right?
Yes, that's right.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So when you look at the data, is there anything that really stood out to you?
The concerns. The people are very concerned about bias and unfair. In our survey, only 1 in 5 Detroit residents believe that the benefits of AI outweigh the risk. And nearly 2/3 of them says that they are not going to share their personal data with the government, even if it can improve the efficiency and the accuracy of the system. So there is a clear trust gap. So, and also these kind of concerns are also raised by the experts. So AI system. So this is kind of still, we live in a very early stage, so they still want to have more information.
So if we can put those some of the results and the graphs back up on the screen there, one of the key takeaways that I'm looking at right off the bat is it seems that when it comes to immediate urgent things like identifying or helping to find missing children, they're okay with that. And I think I can understand that pretty clearly because it's the life of a child, and that makes sense. But when you look at something like maybe managing water and wastewater, or assisting with a website, why do you think they weren't as apt to want to support AI in categories like that?
So I think first of all, the finding missing children, I think the people see this as a humanitarian use or maybe more protective use. But however, the other public service, I think, for example, like water system, I don't think people can see the visible outcome right after. So, also we have, 30-40% of, neutral or don't know answers, which means they want to hold off to make a clear judgment at this point. That doesn't mean that they're against of using AI.
Oh, interesting. So this doesn't necessarily mean they don't support it. They just might not see how it could work or how it could help.
Yes. So the information, because of the short time of the survey, we couldn't explain the very details of the how this kind of the AI use case can be worked and what kind of safeguards can be guaranteed. So based on this kind of the circumstance, they want to postpone their to make a clear judgment at this point.
Gotcha. Okay, so are you now hoping that Detroit City leadership will take this and look at your research and apply it to any plans they have moving forward?
So I think that's a great question. So thankfully, both the state of Michigan and city of Detroit, they're actively engaging with AI. So recently, Governor Whitmer, she created Michigan's first Office of AI Policy, and Detroit has been expanding the use of AI. And also they consider some audience. So AI can be a valuable tool in the public sector, but they need a strong safeguard, a clear ethical guideline, and transparency. So, the approaches like pilot programs, public engagement, or community input, this can build trust and demonstrate real benefits before scaling up. That's the implication of this study.
Interesting. Okay, Hanu Kao with U of M, researcher over there. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, a gloomy start to the day, but the real weather arrives this afternoon. Brian Sherman is back with the latest information on the severe weather threat with a forewarned weather alert set to take effect at noon. I'd like to have you take a look at this video right now. An Australian community was bracing for an incoming cyclone as the skies turn an ominous shade of red. Here's Jeremy Roth.
Incredible video captured in Australia went viral after it showed the skies and pretty much everything else turn an ominous shade of blood red as an intense weather system was closing in. Tropical cyclone Narelle stirred up dust storms that painted the skies of the towns Carnarvon and Shark Bay bright red, as seen by the surreal video shared by Shark Bay Caravan Park. 7 News reports power outages, inland flooding, and damaged structures were reported after the storm hit, but the Caravan Park said they were spared the brunt of it and later posted a clear-skied video saying what a difference 48 hours makes.
That was incredible.
Yeah, I shared that on social media on Saturday. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Mother Nature is so impressive.
Yes, it is, especially.
And damaging at times, too.
Yeah, picking up some of the dust and that soil and all the minerals and everything, helping to turn it to that red color. But I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life.
That's so cool. All right, hopefully nothing damaging happening today.
We hope not, but we are going to be watching for the threat of strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening. Our forewarned weather alert continues for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon and into this evening. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible as we work throughout our Tuesday. A much more tranquil picture on Exact Track 40 radar than what we had around 5 to 6 o'clock this morning with strong to briefly severe thunderstorms. And while we're dry for the moment, we'll be watching the radar after 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon for those thunderstorms to develop. Most everybody warming into the mid-60s out the door early this morning. Sunshine, not what we want to see today because that will help destabilize the atmosphere and promote that severe thunderstorm threat as we head into the afternoon. Winds already breezy outside this morning, gusting in excess of 25 to 35 miles an hour. And I'm expecting those breezy winds outside of thunderstorms to continue through the late evening hours tonight. Warm front lifted off to the north overnight. That triggered the few thunderstorms we saw this morning. Excuse me. Cold front moving through. That's going to trigger the thunderstorms as we go through the afternoon and evening hours tonight. Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley and northeastern United States. The risk for severe weather today, including southeastern Michigan in yellow. That's a slight risk, 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. Damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. The primary threat today. Large hail and heavy rainfall can't be ruled out. And while the tornado threat is low, it's not zero. we could see an isolated tornado as we go through this afternoon and into this evening. Clouds and radar forecast keeps an isolated shower or two in as we head into early this afternoon. Then we start to watch how thunderstorms develop after 3 o'clock this afternoon into this evening, and I fully expect a line of thunderstorms to roll in between 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. This is around 9:30, 9:45. Expect scattered thunderstorms, but then rain continues into the overnight south of M59 and what we call training. That's where areas receive repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms over and over again, which could cause a flash flooding concern overnight into early tomorrow morning. And we keep the chance of rain showers into the forecast on and off throughout the day on Wednesday into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night before more thunderstorms are possible heading into Thursday. And we could do the whole severe weather thing again on Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center's outlined areas from Flint down to Howell, as well as Ann Arbor, and points west in yellow under a slight risk again, 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. The rest of the region in green, a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. Once we get done with our severe weather threat today, we'll start turning our attention to what we could see as we head into the day on Thursday. So for today, 60s out the door this morning, upper 60s near 70 by lunchtime, low 70s for a daytime high this afternoon. Thunderstorms becoming more widespread after 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon into the evening and early portions of the overnight. And looking ahead to the Easter holiday weekend, the forecast for Friday has rapidly changed in terms of temperatures. A few days ago, I had us in the 50s. Now we're up to 70 Friday afternoon, but the chances of rain have remained constant and now extend all the way through Easter Sunday. But then we drop back into the 50s by the end of the weekend and we dry things out finally by early next week. This is going to be one of those watch and wait situations, Nick, to see what happens this afternoon. Hopefully we don't see any tornado warnings issued, but we've got it covered all day long.
Download that app. Watch the radar.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
man. Well, are you able to unwind on vacation? Turns out most Americans cannot disconnect. And then doorbell cameras capture just about everything. But do you know where those videos are saved? Consumer Reports says storage and subscriptions matter more than you think. What to know about your video is coming up next.
I'm Priya Mann. Since the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, doorbell security videos have been in the spotlight. The FBI was able to recover footage from Guthrie's camera, but it raises the question, does it matter where your video is stored and for how long? Consumer Reports explains what to know when buying a camera and the settings you should check if you already have one.
They've been around for years, yet many of us might not realize how they work behind the scenes. Most video doorbells capture footage from wherever they're mounted and send it to the manufacturer's cloud-based servers. And in most cases, you need a monthly subscription to save and access those recordings.
Usually with most cameras, when you are recording and it goes to the cloud, but you don't have a subscription, the recording is not saved. It might temporarily get stored on the server, but it is eventually deleted.
In rare situations, companies can still recover footage scheduled for deletion, which may have happened in the Nancy Guthrie case. But that process can take a lot of time and effort and isn't something you should rely on. Many consumers prefer cloud storage, partly because it's convenient and offers extra features. Others prefer cameras that store footage locally to keep their videos as private and secure as possible. Most cameras with local storage use a micro SD card inside the camera itself. CR also suggests another less common option for local storage.
The safest thing to do is get a model that has a separate hub or base station that the micro SD card goes into, and you can place that somewhere, else in your house that's far away from the camera.
Local storage usually means no monthly fees and more control over your video, because police would have to come directly to you for the footage rather than go to the manufacturer. Those are two reasons Dan is moving away from cloud storage cameras at his home.
If I were to do this all over again, I absolutely would go with cameras that use local storage.
These doorbells and cameras with both local and cloud storage options did well in Consumer Reports ratings.
Now can I ring the doorbell?
Because when it comes to your family's safety, where your footage lives could make all the difference.
Now, if you do choose a camera with local storage, Consumer Reports says you'll need a high-speed micro SD card designed for security cameras, not the kind typically used in phones or regular cameras. For more Consumer Reports stories, head to clickondetroit.com or join us weekdays at 6 a.m.
All right, Priya, thank you much. Let's take a live look at Fort Lauderdale right now, where the temperature will be 78 degrees and sunny. That sounds pretty relaxing, right? Well, it turns out a lot of people struggle to truly unwind on vacation. New data from Talker Research shows more than half of Americans say they don't know how to do nothing while traveling. Nearly half of adults surveyed reported feeling stressed or even guilty when they try to relax. Experts say simple activities like getting fresh air, taking in some scenic views, or listening to calming music can help clear the mind. Well, gas prices hit a new national high overnight, and we are now seeing the effects in other areas like flight prices. And we're back with another update on the chance of severe weather for all of Metro Detroit starting this afternoon.
downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. We are saying hello to Royal Oak this morning as we track the possibility of severe storms hitting later on today. And who better to track those things than the forewarned tracker himself, Brian Sherman. Wouldn't that be a good title on your business card?
I mean, it would be a good title on the business card because that's what I've done all morning long this morning. So some of us waking up to a pretty loud start early this morning with strong and a few briefly severe thunderstorms. But as we head into the afternoon, we will be tracking that threat for strong to severe thunderstorms once again. Our forewarned weather alert kicks in at noon today. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado will be possible as storms develop and a cold front rolls through this afternoon and into this evening. A much more tranquil picture than we had earlier this morning on Exact Track 40 radar. A clean sweep for the majority of southeastern Michigan, but we'll be watching that very closely as those storms start to develop today. Tower cam over downtown Detroit toward Belle Isle, breaking into some sunshine this morning, and that's not a good thing where our severe weather risk is concerned. Sunshine helps to destabilize the atmosphere and will help promote that severe thunderstorm development. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Everybody in the mid-60s as you're heading out the door mid this morning, and temperatures will warm just a little bit above that 70-degree mark heading into the afternoon. Our early morning storms, thanks to that warm front moving off to the north overnight, but that cold front off to the west, that moves in and helps trigger that strong to severe thunderstorm threat today. Mid-60s by 10 o'clock this morning. We're near 70 by lunchtime, on our way into the low 70s this afternoon, with winds gusting as high as 30 miles an hour for much of the day today as well. Rain sticks around tomorrow. Then we could do the whole severe weather thing again on Thursday, and then rain continues into the end of the week on Friday as well. I'll time out our severe weather for today, and when we get a break from the active weather, your full forewarned forecast coming up in just a few minutes. So quiet for the moment, Nick, but that'll change heading into the afternoon.
Just watch the skies.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, now to your headlines on this Tuesday morning. A live look at the Houston airport where travelers are starting to see shorter TSA lines now that most agents are getting some of their pay. Houston reporting waits dropping from 4 hours to 10 minutes or less. Union leaders say workers are not fully caught up on back pay, but more is expected next week. Staffing remains tight after 500 or more agents quit. ICE will keep helping at major airports while DHS remains shut down. Right now, there are no plans for the Senate to return from recess early to negotiate. Let's also check the wait times over at DTW. They really weren't affected by the staffing shortage and the partial shutdown. The longest we ever saw lines were about 15 minutes for the Evans and Delta terminals. Right now, it's 3 minutes over at Evans and 2 for McNamara. The cost to fly, though, is expected to go up even more. Global jet fuel prices have more than doubled since the Iran war began. Now they sit at 104% above where they were last month. Airlines have been responding to the increased fuel costs by increasing their prices through surcharges and reviewing flight routes. And overnight, the national average for gas topped $4 for the first time since 2022. But here in Michigan, in the past 24 hours, we've actually seen prices drop a little bit. The average price for a gallon of regular in Michigan is $3.92. That is 2 cents lower than yesterday and 9 cents lower than last week. When you break it down by county, it's a little different. Macomb and Wayne counties will be your lower option at $3.87. Oakland County is going to cost you a little bit more. Gas prices there are 10 cents higher at $3.97 a gallon. In the Middle East, both sides in the Iran war are hitting oil and gas targets. President Trump now threatening Iran's energy and water infrastructure unless Iran agrees to demands. Alice Barr is in Washington to break down the escalating threats, continuing attacks, and negotiations towards a deal to end the conflict.
Hi there. We saw a new example overnight of the kinds of attacks driving energy prices up as a Kuwaiti tanker laden with oil was hit by a drone in a port in Dubai. Iran has been seeking to spread the pain of the war throughout the global economy. New images from the war with Iran, with the U.S. Military Central Command posting video of strikes on Iranian vehicles and aircraft, not saying when or where they happened, but noting they're targeting the regime's ability to project power beyond its borders. That as these new photos show a U.S. Air Force radar plane heavily damaged in an Iranian strike on an airbase in Saudi Arabia Friday. Several American service members were injured, according to two U.S. officials. The White House ramping up the pressure on Iran.
Their best move is to make a deal, or else the United States Armed Forces has capabilities beyond their wildest imagination.
That includes a threat from President Trump to target civilian infrastructure by obliterating Iran's power plants and oil wells and possibly water desalination plants if Tehran does not agree to demands by next week, including abandoning its nuclear ambitions and reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
They are making threats about controlling the Hormuz Straits in perpetuity, creating a tolling system and the like. That's not going to be allowed to happen.
President Trump also telling the Financial Times he would like to take Iranian oil and may seize the nation's biggest export hub, Karg Island. And even as 3,500 additional U.S. troops arrived in the Middle East, President Trump insists great progress has been made toward a deal, revealing one of the Iranian officials he says the U.S. has been indirectly communicating with is the country's hardline parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf.
These folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations.
Conversations Iran denies are happening. Despite the buildup of U.S. troops in the Middle East, the White House says President Trump has not made any decisions about putting boots on the ground in Iran, a move that lawmakers in both parties have been clear they would want to weigh in on. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Alice, thank you. The U.S. Army is investigating after musician Kid Rock posted social media video of military helicopters over his Tennessee home. This video going viral shows an Apache helicopter hovering by a swimming pool at his home in Nashville. The military wants to verify if airspace requirements and regulations were violated. It is unclear why the Apache aircraft hovered over Kid Rock's home. Today is the deadline for Wayne County homeowners to get help with their property taxes, or you could lose your home. The Wayne County Treasurer's Office is offering 3 plans to eligible households. Each is designed to help homeowners catch up on delinquent taxes to avoid foreclosure. All you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen to apply. You can also call them at 313-224-5990. 4 brave astronauts, 1 historic mission. Next, we're going to go to talk with an expert at NASA about Artemis II as we enter the final countdown for humans to leave Earth's orbit and head towards the moon. It's the final countdown, taking a live look at the Artemis II rocket at Cape Canaveral, Florida. It has been more than 50 years since a human has traveled beyond Earth's orbit, and that will change very soon. As early as tomorrow, 4 astronauts will begin a 10-day, 685,000-mile journey to the moon and back. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen with the Canadian Space Agency will be on board the Artemis II. The goal of this mission is to establish a base on the moon and use it as a stepping stone to Mars.
Are we alone? When we go out and meet people, people ask that all the time. Have you seen evidence of this? What can we learn? And the fact is that answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most likelihood of finding evidence of past life. But it's also a Rosetta Stone for how other solar systems form. All the billions of other solar systems in our galaxy, where we've seen from some of our other telescopes like Kepler that there are planets orbiting other suns. All of this starts to unlock when you go to the moon.
Now, the crew will be the first people to launch towards the moon since the Apollo 17 mission in 1972, more than 50 years ago. In the last hour, I talked to Kevin Coggins, who is the Deputy Associate Administrator for Space Communications and Navigation at NASA. Can you kind of walk us through the goal of this mission? What are we trying to accomplish, and why now?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, this is the first time we've flown humans in Orion to the moon. And so one of the first things we have to test on here is the life support system, that we can sustain human life really well on these long journeys. And so that's just one of many things we're going to test in this whole architecture that's going to build into the next time we go. And the next mission next year, we're going to test docking to landing vehicles, and we're going to do that one around the Earth. But in 2028, we're going to take those landing vehicles and Orion to the moon, and we're going to do 2 landing attempts.
So put in very basic layman terms, because none of us are rocket scientists, my understanding is that you're hoping to put some equipment on the surface of the moon that can become a stepping stone to Mars.
Absolutely. You know, we have this program where we send landers to the moon. Well, we're going to accelerate that program, and over the next year or two, you're going to see us get to a pace of sending rockets about once a month with equipment for the moon and for the moon base. And that way, when we do send astronauts to the moon, they have somewhere to go.
Unbelievable. Okay, so Kevin, what is happening in the next 24 to 48 hours to see if you're actually a go for launch?
Well, you know, right now we're in the countdown, and that means we are continually going through different checks and tests on the rocket. The astronauts are in quarantine. They're going through their procedures eventually to suit up and move out to the pad. We've got communication systems around the world that are going through their readiness checks to make sure everything's absolutely ready. But one of the main things we're watching is the weather. So far, the weather's looking pretty good.
All right, Kevin did also mention that if there is any kind of moisture in the air, that would scrap their launch. Hopefully that won't happen. Also talked about how the astronauts are in quarantine, but they are talking to them, and they are just ecstatic to have this opportunity. You can watch the full interview right now on our website at clickondetroit.com, and of course on Local 4's YouTube page. Damaging wind, heavy rain, hail, even a tornado, all of that possible today as severe storms are rolling in later. 4-1 meteorologist Brian Sherman is back with a look at this forecast and what that could mean later on today when we come back.
Welcome back, everybody. We're tracking the forecast today as severe weather is possible through the afternoon and into the evening hours tonight. Our forewarned weather alert kicks in at noon today for strong to severe thunderstorms with damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado possible through the second half of the day. Exact Track 40 radar this morning, a few showers starting to head over toward Genesee and Lapeer counties. Everybody else dry, and I think we stay primarily dry, save an isolated shower until we start to watch the radar after 3 o'clock this afternoon for those thunderstorms to develop. Tower cam over downtown Detroit showing a little sunshine this morning. That's not good for our thunderstorm potential because that sunshine destabilizes the atmosphere to help promote that severe thunderstorm potential. Very warm and a little humid outside this morning. Most of us sitting right around 65, 66 degrees as you head outside, and we'll warm things up just a little more above 70 as we head into the afternoon. Winds already very gusty in excess of 30 to 35 miles an hour, closing in on 40 miles an hour in some locations. And outside of the thunderstorms, we'll keep those gusty winds around heading throughout the day as well. The warm front lifting north overnight, triggering those early morning storms this morning. But we've got a cold front sweeping in from the west, and that is going to help trigger that severe weather threat heading into the afternoon. The Storm Prediction Center is looking at areas from the Great Lakes through the Ohio Valley into the northeastern United States, including all of southeastern Michigan under a level 2, slight risk for severe weather. Damaging winds above 60 miles an hour, large hail and heavy rainfall, the primary threats. And while the tornado threat is low, it's not zero, so we could see an isolated tornado as we go through the afternoon and evening tonight as well. Let's track this. Clouds and radar forecast keeping the chance of 1 or 2 showers in until mid this afternoon. That's when we start to watch for those thunderstorms to develop, and we bring a line of thunderstorms in between 7 and 9 o'clock tonight into the metro. This is around 8:30 tonight. It could get a little busy on Exact Track 40 radar. This is the severe weather threat that will be moving through. And then once the cold front moves through, showers and maybe an embedded thunderstorm stick around along and south of M59 overnight. And with those areas seeing repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms, that means we may be dealing with a flash flooding issue we're going to have to keep an eye on overnight into early tomorrow morning. And then scattered rain showers continue throughout the rest of the day on Wednesday and even into Wednesday night before more thunderstorms are possible on Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center's outlined areas from Flint down to Howell and over to Ann Arbor and points west in yellow under another slight risk, 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. The rest of the region, a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 on our severe weather scale. So once we get done with the severe threat today, then we can turn our attention to what we may see looking ahead into Thursday. 60s this morning, we warm into the low 70s this afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms developing after 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon. Our forewarned weather alert kicks in heading into the afternoon as well. And then temperatures warming up drastically back to right around 70 for Friday and the Detroit Tigers home opener at Comerica Park. But then the rain showers stick around for the rest of the weekend and we cool off into the 50s by Easter Sunday. And after an active week starting today all the way through Sunday of showers and thunderstorms, we'll dry things out with temperatures holding into the low 50s by the time we get to early next week on Monday. Stay with us here on Local 4 Live. Much more coming up after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Michael Taylor is a force to be reckoned with on the ice, but this Waterford hockey player is on a much bigger mission. He's hoping to break down a barrier that is putting too many lives at risk. He says hockey and his teammates have helped keep him going as he faced off with the unknown in the fight of his life. Here's Damon Fernandez.
It's a ritual Michael Taylor follows 4 times a week. The St. Mary's Ice Rink in West Bloomfield, his second home. Putting on his gear, lacing up his skates, stepping onto the ice he knows so well. He's used to staring down fierce competitors. But 3 years ago, he noticed something far scarier.
I had some symptoms at 37. I definitely had some, I'd call it blood in the stool, which isn't easy to talk about, but you know, it was alarming because it was a little bit at first, and then over time, it gradually got more and more.
He started using the bathroom more frequently. Then he developed pain.
It's the fear. Like I was scared. I was just, oh no, I don't want to go get this checked out. What if it is something bad?
He finally sought help from Dr. Claire Peoples, a colorectal surgeon at Corwell Health.
Right away, we scheduled him for a colonoscopy and had to let him know that my concerns are this could be something more than just a hemorrhoid or a fissure.
Michael was diagnosed with stage 4 rectal cancer and stage 3 colon cancer. His tumor measured 4 centimeters.
You know, I woke up from the colonoscopy, bad news, and it's like, well, what's the plan? And they're like, we got a plan. Let's put something together. And that actually felt better than not knowing. You know, that was as scary as it was. It was like, okay, now we know. Now we can actually manage this.
The plan included chemotherapy pills, proton therapy, and then IV chemo.
Mike's tumor responded really well to the upfront treatment. His pain went away, his bleeding went away, and now we're monitoring him very closely to make sure that that tumor stays down and it doesn't grow.
Hockey's probably the reason I got through all this so well, because you're scared of all these treatments. All I know what's scary is Big Bob when he hits you in the corner at 45 miles an hour.
Michael's teammates stood by him, even donating money to help with his massive medical bills.
That was everything. That really kind of shook me because it was like an affirmation of friendship with all these guys.
Michael's case is part of a frightening trend. Colorectal cancer is now the leading cause of cancer deaths in adults under age 50.
It's very concerning because we don't have a reason for why this is happening. I think there's still a lot of ongoing research looking at the microbiome, environmental things, but it is concerning because a lot of times they're young, healthy people that don't have any other risk factors, no family history. His story inspired me and can inspire a lot of people to let them know that any symptom that they have, they should get it evaluated by a doctor right away.
When you start seeing blood, maybe week 1, week 2, go see someone. Seriously, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that scary. Everybody's like, oh, colonoscopy at 45. They're going to move that down. And it needs to be because they're finding it more in younger people. And if fear is the thing stopping you, don't let it. Be strong, be tough, go talk to someone. That's super important. The fear is so much worse than actually knowing. And so living in a fear of unknown it's like unacceptable.
Michael also wants people to understand if it is cancer, there are better treatment options than in previous years. But you need to get the doctors in the game.
We have the technology. They have the ways to make you comfortable and feel comfortable about whatever treatment you're getting. Postponing treatment because of fear is the biggest mistake that anybody could make. They can solve these problems. Just the sooner you go, the easier. That's the whole thing. The sooner the better.
That was Damon Fernandez reporting. Michael has suffered a lot of hockey injuries over the years, including a broken hand, collarbone, leg, knee, and a root canal. He says all of the cancer treatment was not nearly as painful as the hockey stuff. All right, so much more coming throughout the day here on Local 4, including one of the best shows on Local 4. Live in the D.
Good morning. Flattery will get you everywhere.
Really?
I want you to know that.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
What am I getting?
Happy Tuesday. Today is a very exciting day on the show.
We have some cupcakes upstairs.
Do you really?
Hot
man.
They're very good. No,
Yes.
I'm so excited about something that is coming back to Detroit that I know I'm going to participate in. Kim is going to go as well.
Yes, I had major FOMO because I always wanted to do it, but I never did it.
Slow roll.
Slow roll.
Slow roll is that?
So much fun.
Yes.
It's so much fun. So
Starting in Corktown again?
We don't know.
They kind of start all over the city, like different weeks. So I'm so excited. We're having Jason Hall in.
right.
He is
Okay.
the founder of the Slow Row.
Yep,
So
yep.
Slow Row. So we're going to be talking all about that. And it's just like, I feel like the Slow Roll is like represents Detroit. You
It
know,
really does.
it's literally just like a melting pot of different types of people, all coming together, just touring the city on
Just slow
by bike.
rolling.
On bikes.
Slow rolling, yes.
I've been there, and like there are people who come from Ohio to do slow roll.
Yeah.
I was with people from Ann Arbor, the West Side, the East Side, and you just come together.
Any Canadians?
Oh, I'm
sure there are.
Yeah, sure there are. I just haven't met any.
Yes.
But it's really, I'm just so looking forward to it. And he's going to give us all the details.
Yes,
Okay.
and not to mention now, like we have a full loop of bike trails all around the city.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
20 plus miles,
right,
so
right.
that's incredible.
What else? What else you
Jordan is
got?
in the building.
Yes.
So you know what that means.
I do.
Okay.
Trending Tuesday.
Trending Tuesday, baby. You're gonna learn
You'll
about something.
eventually understand the schedule. Yeah.
You're going to learn about something that you didn't even know that you needed to learn about.
Exactly.
And now I need it in my
Jordan
life?
brings- You need it in your life.
Yes.
It'll keep you cool with your kids. He's
Okay,
like,
for
he's
example,
What is it?
cow print is in. We learned that a couple of weeks ago. Cow print.
And I need this in my life?
Yes.
All right.
good job.
You lost me. You
Join
lost
us
me.
for Live in the DMV.
Did you still want that cupcake?
I know,
Oh,
right?
okay. Make it a great Tuesday, everybody.